A few months ago, I had made a video going over some of the different metas that have developed over the years that I felt was really starting to drag down the experience in Arma Reforger. While I fully anticipated that it would be one of my biggest ratioed videos yet, and it was, I still felt things needed to be said for discussion's sake, and to hopefully spark some ideas that would prevent my favorite PvP Milsim game from turning into the average run-of-the-mill shooters. To my surprise, these were issues that the developers had already identified and been working to address, and I recently had the honor of speaking with Arma Reforger's project lead, Klamacz, to discuss the future of the game. So up next is a segment from that interview, which you can find a link to the full interview in the description. Special thanks to my channel members for supporting the channel and the work I do, and special thanks to Mortarmaster 4000 for sponsoring the channel. If you've ever dreamed of raining mortars with AI-level precision in Arma Reforger, then meet the Mortarmaster 4000. This app is available on Google Play, and it calculates your azimuth and elevation faster than you can say fire for effect. Just enter in the information you get from your map tools, such as heading, distance, desired shell type, your elevation, and the target's elevation, and let the Mortarmaster 4000 do all the complicated math for you. Now with that said, let's talk about some metas. I heard that there may have been some topics that you wanted to bring up if that's still on your mind.
Well, I guess there was this cool video you did some time ago about, was it a meta or like exploits?
Yeah.
The game.
The metas.
And I remember watching this. There was like 10 plus points there, and for every of those points, I had this answer immediately, like, "Oh yeah, we know. We probably are working on it, or this will be solved this way. Eventually we'll do this, or this is actually not a problem because we're gonna change that." And I think like 80% of those exploits were something that we are aware of, and we are basically preparing a fix. Maybe there were a few which we like, well, that's probably never going away for multiple reasons. That was probably the thing. If you, I'm not sure if you remember any of those exploits.
I can pull up a list that I had written down, because it was something that I had thought about a lot. I mean, after several years of playing the game, you kind of see what people are doing.
Yeah, it is a list which is kind of comprehensive and even useful for us, because you notice things which are happening, you define them, you somehow analyze where they come from and what effect they have. And it's actually very useful for us as developers. And, verifying is fairly easy, and then we can already start thinking about how to solve it.
Okay.
We even have some suggestions. This is useful material.
Because I felt really bad, publishing it, but because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or make anybody angry. But I'm fascinated by player behavior and designing systems that direct player behavior too, like just as a personal kind of thing, not necessarily like something that needs to happen. It's just a curiosity of mine.
Yeah, I see. It was kind of a process which we had when we were many years ago, especially in the area of infantry combat, like very specifically talking about movement, weapon handling, and how those features can work together, and how players can use them in combat, offensively, defensively, whatever. And then as we play tested it, we would find out that there are certain actions that you could do which would basically give you advantage, sometimes fair, sometimes unfair, and we somehow have to solve it. So I think one of the typical ones was that there was a time where you could focus your camera, basically zoom in with the right mouse button, and then when you were using MGs, they were very, very accurate, so you could basically snipe with MGs full auto while running around. And it was somewhat related to implementation of those systems that it could lead to that meta, but also it was us not having enough disadvantages for heavy machine guns and how quick you can move with them. So we patched it out. I remember it was actually brought by Jokin. He was the guy who was killing everyone with MG for a few days, and eventually we had to stop it from happening. Then there was one when we had underbarrel grenade launchers already in game, but they didn't have reload animations, so they were firing rapidly.
I remember full auto grenade launchers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this was actually released in Iraq, but there was a problem. I remember this problem still like in development. Maybe it was released. Anyway,
I think it was on experimental.
Maybe. Could be a bug of some sort. But the interesting thing here is that we actually didn't fix it. We left it in until the animations appear, hoping that the actual reload animations will take enough time to balance this out. And we used that. The argument was that the fact that you can fire UGL rapidly, yes, it is exploit and kind of annoying if you're on the other side, but we also stress testing damage, explosion effects, and sounds and a bunch of other things that are related to this. So this was actually also beneficial for us to for like the development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, over the years there were many smaller and bigger exploits that we found out ourselves or eventually someone noticed, and we tried to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just the other day I was tinkering around with like doing a check whether or not you're a squad leader in order to transmit over the platoon chat. I got it to work, but then I remembered about people joining the solo squads and everybody's a squad leader, so that wouldn't declutter the platoon channel.
Yeah. So with everyone joining and creating their own squads, that's actually one of those exploits that we would like to get rid of. And I think the like two angles on this. One is to maybe limit who can create squad. Maybe not every private should be able to create his own group. Maybe there needs to be some control over it. That's one aspect.
Maybe you need to rank up to sergeant before you can start a new squad.
Right.
But then what? How do you deal with just joining everybody as a private?
That's true. That's also true. The beginning of the match is actually one of the trickier parts because you have to kind of allow people to act, but do not give them all the amazing features which will get unlocked later. It is specifically difficult, yes. But also there is other side of the squad leader that if we can incentivize people to be subordinates, be part of other people's squad, and because of that you get some advantages which are bigger than having your own marker on the map.
Oh, you're gonna. Well, I don't know if you'll like it or not, but I had added in my submission or the squad itself earns XP and like it'll unlock weapons and vehicles and stuff as the squad itself ranks up.
That's a very nice idea. We actually didn't. I don't think we have it on the list, but I like it. I noticed this in your mod description. This kind of reminds me of World War III FPS game, which had similar system where leaders give the objective to the group, and if the group achieves it, both of them get extra XP. So basically, as long as you follow the orders, you get better XP, you have more whatever currency you're using to get your stuff, and your squad leader the same. But there are other ways to incentivize people to kind of be part of the group. And we will have some of them in the next update. We'll see how they work. We'll probably pay attention to the feedback. And maybe you will even make a video or something that will bring additional knowledge for us.
Yeah. One of the guys in my community, he was talking about instead of loadouts that you would select on the respawn screen, but it would be more like you would select as like infantry or leadership or something like that. And you would basically have access to those things that that particular role can do. Like infantry has access to all the weapons and ammo. Leadership has access to like building stuff and logistics and where they go. Armored crew or crewman has access to the armored vehicles and whatnot.
Mhm.
I'm curious what you think of that idea.
I think it's a interesting idea, and some form of it you may see in future.
Okay.
Probably not exactly as you say, but the intention is similar. Have more direction when you select your group and loadout. Have options which make more sense, uh, and kind of allow you to pick your role almost in role playing way. Um, which then maybe also incentivize people to, instead of being just a squad leader, they may prefer different role because that's exactly what they want to do. I cannot really go into details because it's still being developed, so I don't want to promise too much. But some sort of this is happening.
Okay. That's actually really exciting.
You have any other of those meta thingies?
Yeah, so the more metas let's see, strafe spamming.
Okay. Let me just one by one. So strafe spamming, annoying. I completely agree. That's something that should be ironed out. Exactly how, this is yet to be decided. We have some little prototypes which basically just slows down the strafing, making the action less dynamic. So this character doesn't jump that much, left and right. You can still do the movement, but it's slower, which helps a bit. But the problem with it is that then it becomes slightly more annoying when you play normally. You don't even want to avoid the bullets, but you're just moving normally. And usually when you move, it's rare that the only button you press is W. Usually when you go straight, you actually are strafing left, right, all the time because you run in this kind of zigzag that you want to look left, so you're gonna be strafing right, and then you wanna look right, and you're gonna be strafing left. Like observe your fingers when you actually move through the environment.
I think that's probably going to be one of the first things that people notice when they join our servers is how going in a straight line is the fastest way because we had slowed down this side to side movement.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out a way to do something with inertia, like in order to move full speed, sideways. But if you want to move, change your direction, then you have to kind of slow down to zero before you can, start speeding up back the other way.
But yeah, that's basically what you explained. This movement in the straight line being the fastest. That kind of would force people to play differently, and for some could be a bit frustrating. So that's why we didn't just drop it onto the build yet. And then the second one was
Third person peeking.
oh my goodness, yeah, that's almost philosophical problem, right? Um, should the game be first person only, or is the third person allowed in Arma game? Because it always been there.
What ruins it is other people.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's the only like it's not a problem if you're not abusing it. Typically, people would say, "Well, you just use third person too." It's like, yeah, you can technically do that, but then it becomes a game of positioning because whoever's at the corner or the wall is like I could go in the third person too, but I won't see you behind the wall, but you can see me and what direction and stuff I'm facing and whatnot. And like in a competitive game, that's where kills or deaths and stuff start feeling really cheap.
Yeah, I agree. I kinda hate it. Again, in Arma 3, I remember playing King of the Hill servers. Some of them had first person enforced, and that was completely different game, and some of them would have them allowed. And I would still play first person only because I guess I like the challenge. And I kind of I felt dirty. If I would pick in the third person, I would feel dirty. Like this is not how real life works. You cannot see. But yeah, there were some solutions. I think Arma 3 was attempting to shift the camera to such extent that you cannot really use this third person. So like your third person camera would be like over your shoulder, more like Gear Solid or something than completely third person flying one. But it only solves the problem partially.
Yeah.
You can almost always find an angle in which you would still have advantage. I guess the solution for this is to have servers which have first person only. Like you can already decide that in the server config. The only problem being that the vehicles don't have mirrors nor periscope, so usage of some vehicles becomes very difficult when you don't have a third person. There was a idea that we could have an implementation where the switch is like 3 states, so you would have no third person, full third person, and in the middle you would have third person only for vehicles, which is okay, which is some kind of solution. I think Arma 3 had some kind of switch like this. But I think this is still just a middle ground, and at the end we need to have periscopes, mirrors, and then enforcing of the first person will be proper, because when you have proper features for vehicle driving, that you actually look from inside and you use the visors or whatever to orient yourself, or you open the hatch and turn out. This is the actually realistic usage of vehicle. Having a camera flying around and being able to see the guy which is sneaking through the bushes is not realistic.
It's also a much different experience too, is if when you're the occupant inside the vehicle and you can't like go into third person and look around. It's like when you're in the BTR and you can't see outside, but you hear all the explosions and bullets hitting, your BTR and whatnot. It's quite a different experience.
Yeah.
And then when you leave, you now have to deal with the fact that you don't know what the battlefield looks like, so you have to orient yourself to that too. So I find those quite engaging, but I know I'm speaking only for myself.
Yeah, this is interesting aspect. Like the fact that you are closed in vehicle is actually disadvantageous for your orientation in terrain and understanding, as you said, combat around it. So tankers would be forced to cooperate more with infantry, right? They would have a infantry unit nearby, which keeps the security around the tank. Would be good if that would kind of naturally become a player behavior, because there is no other way to solve the problem. So eventually, yes, third person only optional, and everything, proper mechanical, forcing you to behave like a real vehicle crew in real life.
Mm-hmm. Do you think we'd ever see official first-person only servers once periscopes get implemented? I think you had mentioned that in the positive, yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Like that, I don't see a problem with organizing it. Maybe the only limitation here is how many servers, and then how big percentage of people prefer to play first person only versus everything allowed. And the sad truth about players may be that those which really want the hardcore experience, they will be in minority. Maybe,
yes.
10%.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of was visible during Arma 3 times, even in those King of the Hill servers, like the proportion of players. We'll see. Hopefully, we can also make it into. Maybe there will be some other clever solutions, which I don't even predict now, that will allow it to be more welcoming to all the players, so we don't have to be drastic.
Yeah. The next one was I guess this isn't too big of an issue. It's just like, so the bush camping. It's like if you've ever played Metal Gear Solid and you have the hiding in the box running around, that's what it kind of reminds me of, the picture in my head.
Yeah. So you mean basically standing in the middle of the bush?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not moving, and then the geometry covers you. So there are actually. So you mentioned one which I would like to have eventually, which is slowing down because you go through the bushes. So this in combination with the audio which you already get, if you cannot sprint through it, then also it becomes kind of barrier. You have to think more how to navigate yourself around. But someone could still theoretically, get in and be just very, very stationary and hide.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think probably the very center of the bush where the roots and stuff would be is probably shouldn't be able to get into, but yeah, I would expect to have infantry at in bushes hiding themselves. That
Yeah.
makes sense to me. But
Depends on the bush. I guess some of them may have like the center limited, but some of them you could kind of step over it. Bush by bush, right?
And then like the stinging nettle have that actually cause damage to you, and your character go ah.
Maybe the bushes are scratchy, right? Like you could have a small damage. A long time ago, there was idea flying that if you run through the bushes, you trip and fall.
I think Bacon had a like a clumsy mod.
Yeah.
Earlier that you would trip over stuff, and it was the most hilarious thing.
Yeah, I like this, and that's actually I would like to have it in game. But imagine the frustration, imagine the complaints.
Or if you're on a steep hill and it's muddy and you slip and fall down it.
Yeah, the muddy, we don't have muddy. We have rain and we have somehow wet, but we don't simulate mud. So that's something we should. Like eventually, most of the war relates to mud in some way. I think Moidog had a very cool video about it recently, talking about
how the environment and weather can affect how the war is operated. Yeah, that's a really good video.
Yeah, I like it. And he brings the example of this game about trenches, which I never remember. Yes, this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is something. Mud, rain, wetness. Those are cool aspects. But about bushes, just one more thing. There will be extra surprise features related to that.
Okay.
Which will slightly make it better.
The next one was RPG spam.
Okay. Yeah, so we are actually doing some very interesting changes related to that problem. The RPGs will be less accurate. There was actually a problem with something called muzzle dispersion. So how well the projectile follows the line of a muzzle, and RPGs are not as accurate in real life. They have tendency to drift.
And affected by wind, right? Wind?
I don't know. We don't. Maybe. But definitely one of the fixes that we will deliver will relate to dispersion of the rockets, so they will be less accurate on the long distance. Then the rest of it is about availability of the item itself. So we have some tweaks that we're gonna do this, and it's not that simple as we will just limit amount of it. We actually gonna do a bit more. I cannot say exactly what, but probably if you will see changelog, it's going to be like 7 points in changelog which relate to that. And it should... There was actually non-zero chance that would appear tomorrow, but it's not happening tomorrow because of reasons, technological stuff, which, too much details. But it is close enough. It's going to be in the next major update.
Oh, okay, interesting. After that, supply shaming, which it's like it's not necessarily a problem that you created or the game created or whatever. It's just like the community sentiment, I guess I would call it in general, of being really defensive about how supplies are used because
Mm.
of the how limited supplies are. And
I know what it means. You mean the people which like disassemble your arsenal because you build it in first half an hour, or
or get mad at
scout.
you when you spawn in a helicopter
Yeah,
that you know delivered the supplies for.
yeah. I get that. Um, it's tricky because it's about behavior of people and their belief system almost. We could try to direct it through some hints or maybe even disallow some actions, but I don't. So we don't have a clear solution for this. On the other hand, we will have a bunch of features related to supplies and building also slightly tweaked, uh, which will affect this, but I don't know how. So we will see. It actually may, because we will kind of make supplies even harder to get slightly, which could actually make this a bigger problem. Um, but the game would be so different. There will be a bunch of changes. So
Yeah,
hard to say how it's gonna go. Like
you kind
this
of
is
have to
something
see
I,
how people
yeah,
react over
yeah,
after implementing it.
yes. That's why I wanted to be on experimental for a long time so we can observe what people do with it and if those behaviors disappear, get stronger, or maybe new ones appear. We
One
will
thing
see.
I've noticed about experimental is that it's a different crowd that typically joins and tests things on there
Yeah,
versus the general player base on stable.
yeah, this is true. That, but there is not really much we can do about it besides releasing experimental, which is fascinating, you know, and actually brings a lot of people just to try it. Um, last 1.3 experimental, when it got released in December, it wasn't in the best shape. So maybe this moment of initial fascination was also difficult to people to kind of keep on because only the hardcore players, which were used to dealing, with experimental features, they only those stayed. That's, I don't know. Like I don't want too many people to switch to experimental. Like it's good that people play stable. Um, Not everyone has to. I would be glad if modders jump on it and make sure that their mods work because that helps everyone. And I think we'll have it long enough. Probably we'll do a bunch of public playtests and ask people to join, trying to gather their condensed feedback, session by session. This worked a few times for us.
Next one was uh, another kind of player behavior of rushing objectives, trying to end the match as fast as possible, like making just a straight line from their starting location all the way to Monty or whatever.
Yeah, I think I also mentioned this was a common problem in the beginning of the project. And then we started adding challenges and obstacles on the way to slow people down. I also feel that the more action, the more the more stuff you can do in a base which is already your own, the more incentive there will be for people to stay in that base for longer. I actually like that play style when I capture a base and I defend it for maybe half an hour, even if nothing happens. But I patrol it and listen to shots if something is getting too close, and maybe I build it up and I talk with the people which come and visit, friendlies passing by and whatever. I wish there would be some feature which would make it even more meaningful. Maybe a bit more XP. Right now, you get XP only if it's a frontline base. Um, we will have few features which will add to how many activities you can do in the game, what is being rewarded. But this is kind of, this is more like a meta behavior. People always seek action. people quickly get bored when they are left in a already captured base and there is no one counter-attacking, and they're like, well, let's go have fight again, right?
Hmm. Yeah, and
Um,
that's why they fly their helicopters and drop them off within 50 meters of the objective and get blown up. And I would agree with that too, because I enjoy like building up the defenses and stuff and figuring out, okay, where am I going to put this machine gun nest and whatnot. And I remember there were several times on like Arlen there would be this specific bridge that the enemy would have to cross in order to get to ours. So we would build up some funnels, like some traps that their vehicles had to drive through, and we'd set up a machine gun nest and just hang out, wait until they come through, and then we just discovered that they went around it and ended up flanking us instead. But
yeah, yeah, that's that's also a big problem. Like it's hard to build a front line
yeah,
where everyone can go around you, right?
yeah. And I guess that has to do with how many assets you could actually place down. Because I imagine you would set up an entire line of razor wire and mines and stuff across the entirety of the map in order to create that front line.
And I'm not sure if this would work because people still would, destroy it when there is no enemies to contest it. So you would still need like a patrols and some kind of units which are sitting there and observing. Maybe enemies will come this way, and who wants to sit, for an hour somewhere defending line? Like that's not really gameplay, which is interesting for people. And yes, there could be AI doing this instead. I guess eventually, if we can run enough AI, then some of those aspects could get improved. If you have a defensive AI in your base where you maybe participate, but then this flanking is less possible. Maybe your defending can be more efficient. Hard to say. Hard to say.
One of the things that I was thinking about is how to make building structures more interesting. Because right now you plop down a structure and you just hold F on it to build the whole thing. I'm wondering if something a little bit more involved might make it more interesting to hang around at a base. But that's not. I don't see Reforger ever implementing something like free building of services, like where you choose where to place down the sandbags or whatever.
Yeah, that's not that simple. Like, if those props are separated objects in the list, then maybe. Um, but then, yeah, there is also a issue of like a performance of that. Some of our compositions are maybe too big and too complex, and they should be slightly easier to place. So then maybe you could have more combinations and more depth in this placement.
Do you think there'd ever be
Uh,
variations of the same service, so like they could fit into tighter or like locations that don't have a whole lot of room? Like maybe a heavy vehicle depot is more
yeah,
long and stuff.
I think the heavy vehicle is like the biggest issue. That because it's very wide, it has a lot of space in the middle, which is like it just got designed this way. But in reality, when you actually try to build your base and then you have some bushes, rocks, whatever around, and you cannot fit this thing, you kind of start questioning why is it even so big? Why is it not a line? Some changes will be done. Exactly what changes will be done, I cannot say now, but I know the work is ongoing,
Or you're at
which
least
relates
aware of it.
to. Uh, yes, we are aware of this and few other problems with compositions. I'm not sure if you heard, but this bothers me, and I still hope eventually we'll be able to fix it. The fact that no compositions at the moment really help you defend from mortar strikes. Basically, there is no bunker or
Oh, I see what you're saying.
concrete
So
building which would really make that you can hide in there and mortar will not kill you. That doesn't exist at the moment.
right, yeah, that would be cool to have a place to hide at. Assuming somebody can figure out how to use the mortar accurately. I have a video that people can watch.
Shameless plug
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
Click in the corner. Yeah, everyone, go watch this video. It's great. Mortars are hard. But also, I heard from people that those are the best mortars in any game ever.
yes. Yeah, and I've gotten comments from people whose job it is to run mortars in real life saying that this is very close to what they have to actually do, and it's enjoyable, and they love to do them.
That makes me feel happy.
Yeah. I wonder if mortars will ever be affected by wind.
Yeah, I wonder too.
The next meta was the graphic settings. Like people
Yeah.
turning everything down on low so that the character models will pop out.
Yeah, this is annoying. Because it's even more annoying because we did it with intention to help people which have a low you know,
A low
not
system.
as
Yeah.
powerful, yeah, not as powerful systems, so they can still enjoy the game by getting rid of, some shadows or some quality here and there. But yeah, I think this is method as old as games. The
Oh yeah.
first Operation Flashpoint had very similar settings, which in options were limited. So the slider in options had some limits. But if you would go to the file and you would just change the value in like the config file, you could make those details even lower, and everything would look like crap. And there was some particular forest in Operation Flashpoint when if you would lower the details completely, all the bushes in that forest disappear, and you have only trunks of the trees. So you could see through with no problem, while the other players have obstructed vision. It's very, very influential. We we called those people cheaters, even when we played PvP with them. Uh, but there was not really that much that we could do to like fight it.
Yeah.
I
It's
guess.
like a cultural thing. Like that's who you're playing with, I guess.
Well, there is always some person who will sweat over being, the most combat efficient, and he will use any advantage that he can find to win, which is, I guess, like a typical thing, right? Like soldiers are supposed to be doing this. Use
Oh
any
yeah.
possible advantage to beat your opponent.
Exactly. You're not
Um,
going to play fair in war, but turning
yeah,
off your graphics so you can see the enemies better isn't exactly, in my opinion, the place that needs to be exploited. Like drop a mortar strike, not turn your graphics down.
right. Yes, that will make sense. I think there are some graphic settings. Was it a grass minimum? I think there was a distant shadows which people turn off. Uh,
Yeah, there was
and there was
a
something else.
video a while ago that showed the performance impact was negligible for between turning it off and turning it on low or something.
Yeah, get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see people just like in Arma 1 when they had this very bright uniforms. You can see them in the forest half a kilometer away. So I guess the idea here would be to put those settings in the server configuration so then the server can enforce those settings in the session. And the only really challenge here will be profiles or the graphic profiles for console versions, because those are a bit more static. Console players don't have direct control over every graphic settings, so we would have to pay attention to those. But I think this is actually planned, just not necessarily for the next version, but eventually.
Yeah, and then the next one on the list isn't something you could probably do at all. Is the gamma to see better at night. Most of the people that I play with, we lament over not being able to fight during the nighttime because the lighting of the engine is so beautiful. But that just kind of means you have to either accept getting totally dominated or turn up your gamma as well. And then there's a lot of like consoles, they can't necessarily do the same, so they're at a disadvantage to the people that can.
Yeah, that's true. So we actually long time ago we had a implementation which was adding noise to the night. So even when you max out your gamma, basically you would just see more noise instead of having a very clear vision. It helps a bit. Um, doesn't fully solve it because like eventually you can crank up those settings both on your hardware and in drivers and whatever that you probably can achieve you know easier spotting of enemies. Just the game will look like crap, and I don't know why would you play like that, but I guess again,
They're sweaty.
sweaty people which just really have to be the best. um, so this noise may come back. So any other meta you want to ask?
Oh yeah, so I guess the arsenal hoarding. Basically, they're building 5 arsenals at a location to use as storage space to grind their ranks. Which I guess
Yeah, yeah.
that's you build storage for storage. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's like you just
No,
see.
no, that's true. And I think the storage is what's missing.
I remember there used to be a composition that was for storage, and it got removed at some point.
Maybe there was. I actually don't remember that. But basically, yeah, our solution for this is storage, dedicated composition for storage. That would be the solution.
Yeah, I remember that was like in the when Reforger first came out, there was that storage location.
Yeah, there was something. Yeah. And I think the annoying part about it was that you always had to build it, otherwise you wouldn't have enough space to build radio or something. Like you had to have storage.
Yeah, you had to build the storage first, and then you can build the radio. And back then,
Yeah.
trucks had 1,000 supplies.
Different times. No.
Yeah, and then the last one was the people grinding ranks by doing like unvaluable things, like transferring supplies from one base to the other over and over again, like the same supplies though.
True. True. So we are aware of a bunch of exploits related to supply manipulation or transportation. Some of them, I think, were already fixed in the previous. Some of them will be fixed in the future ones. So you shouldn't be able just to drive the same supplies between very like nearby bases there and back. That shouldn't work. The same, I think that it was possible to drive supplies from those randomly spawned FIA caches, which are hidden in garages and whatnot. So you could actually drive them back and forth from base to those cache and still gain XP at least one way. Even in some cases, you could build 2 positions in the same base and they were far enough from each other that it would count. So you wouldn't have to even do multiple bases. Those are the ones I know, which are being either already are fixed or will be fixed soonish. I think the main issue with those behaviors is that people want the rank. Like
Yes.
people,
Yeah.
they just want to have a rank, and they want to be able to drive LAV or fly Huey or whatever else. Somewhere deep, I believe that no action in the game is really abusive or nonsensical. If people do this, that then let them do this. Similar problems we had like about should healing other players give you XP, but then it leads to the exploiting that
People shooting
will
themselves.
shoot.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then heal because that's at some point it's gonna be more efficient than going kilometer and trying to capture the base. But then I would say, well, fine, let them shoot each other and heal each other. At least the guy which is healing, maybe he will have muscle, how to be a good doctor, the corpse man, and he will be then very efficient for other people. So maybe it's not that horrible waste of time. There was a typical one about transporting people. What if
They drove around in
you know,
circles or something.
exactly, like just drive your friends there and back, and you will gain XP. Well, fine, and even if, then what? Well, they wasted time. They got XP. I'm not so sure about limiting those just in the name of removing exploits. I mean, we have to understand people want to rank up. They need to have XP. They have to be able to rank up high enough by doing things they like. So they don't have to do things they don't like just to rank up. So, in fact, paradoxically, the solution to this may be giving more XP for more actions. Therefore, uh, they don't have to exploit it because
Because
they
the
can
thing
make
that they
it anyway.
want to do is the fun thing to do that's ranking them up.
Yeah, if they would have different thing, which is not this, exploit is supply, but I don't know, even defending the base, sitting there and I don't know.
Because I'm trying to think, like, what is the mindset that, but it's a more productive use of my time to drive back and forth between the same location to rank up versus just playing the game.
I guess the safety, like if I'm doing this between those two locations, then I'm not going anywhere else. Therefore, a risk of getting killed, losing the vehicle, losing the time is a lot smaller, right?
Yeah.
And I still wouldn't do it. Probably I did it once in my life when I actually grinded the ranks by driving between two bases. But I was still delivering the proper way. I was just coming back empty. And it was still grindy enough for me, like not do it ever again. Somehow people make that choice. So if we just give them more choices, maybe they don't have to pick that one.
Right. And maybe the choice can be something that benefits everybody on the team.
Yes, I think with some of the changes we are doing to like the next major update, some of the changes to conflict related also to HQ Commander, they will rebalance what activities are important for the team, what are less. Supplies will be still important, but there will be other activities which kind of will grow up and be more common. And supplies will also have some alternatives, so maybe you wouldn't be forced. This anyway. I'm already spoiling too much.
Let's keep talking.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Hey, thanks so much for watching that clip. If you want to watch the full video, the link is down below in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.